Alright, tonight I have a fun video, but it's a hot one for me because it's 100 degrees or something crazy and everybody's trying to beat the heat. So I wanted to share with you some media that I've collected, and I've kind of hinted to it and made a couple of videos, and I picked up one piece of media. I would have loved to pick up 3 or 4 pieces of media, but that would have been a little bit more out of my price range, but it was certainly very fair. But when you see the size of the card, that's why I kind of had to kind of take a step back. And this was protected very, very carefully. Just a little bit of oil or grease stains would ruin this sort of thing here. So we'll just show that in a minute here. And this is an on-screen used item here. So I like to get screen used items or possibly screen used items. This one here is more than likely a screen used item. This is actually original in slide format. And you can buy one of these little portable slide scanners here. They work well enough. But some of the slides that are like encased in plastic or glass lensed holders will sometimes, overcompensate, and they'll be way too bright. And I think this is way too bright because the 11:30 a.m. is basically way too bright. And it's very, very clear from where I see this from here. And I say, well, how is this not pop? So do I pop this open, take the slide out, and some of these black spots that are on there might actually, this one here, and this one here. So if you didn't know, Channel 48 WKBS TV has no affiliation with me whatsoever. I don't know anything about it other than the fact that this is more than likely probably a 70s or early 80s slide here, and Channel 48 was probably part of the UHF lineup there. So if you didn't know, before the TV transition, we had big fat tube TVs, and some people were still using ancient antiquated televisions as long as they were repairable and they worked, but then they had to get converter boxes for those and buy analog. You'll find a few videos show the digital to analog, the analog to digital transition, but when you go to YouTube, I'll show you an example here. This is CMU Public Television Network, PBS. So still to this day, I don't know when this slide came, or this, I say slide, but this image came out, and a lot of them were just still images, whether digitally imported or actually physically imported, say like on an 8x10 such as these. This is the Roots of the Next Generations Part 1 and 2. This came out in a media guide that was sent to different outlets, and they could choose to use these or not. This was an ABC program, so this could have been used by KEZI, ABC 9 News out of Eugene, or it could have been used at, I can't think of the translator name for that one, in Portland, but COIN is Channel 6, KGW is Channel 8, or I mean NBC, and 6 is CBS, and then ABC is something else I can't think of, KATU, K2. On your side. So, but some of these will be edited for those sort of things, or they would have separate sheets saying such things like that. And there's different formats over the years. Sometimes they were cardstock, sometimes they were, photographic paper. This one here was also in slide format, which I got recently, and this is Portrait of a Showgirl, promoting the CBS movie. Now, a lot of these things came in, I guess press books is what they call them. This came out probably as a press book and had other press materials to go with that. Different alternate slides for commercial breaks with different actors in there, the lesser known actors, or some other kind of just generic movie scene from that movie there. And again, this was never meant to be an autograph collectible, but I turned it into an autograph collectible, having Leslie Ann Warren autograph it within a couple of weeks of me sending that. So that was very, very cool. But a lot of these things are in slide format, and I also have, well, I say slide format, but it's like essentially a negative or a positive item that is basically stuck into a slide, holder. And I've got some old CBS, was it CBS or NBC? I cannot remember which. And essentially they're in thick glass ones, and I haven't been able to scan those with my scanner because they come out looking very blurry and very fuzzy. Some of them come out, but the light shining through basically puts way too much shine on it and washes out the image here. Now I want to show you the last image here. I don't want to make this a super long video here. and I just typed in something else or something happened and I was able to stumble upon these listings here. They had been listed for, I don't remember, $25 or so, or best offer, and some people took it and got the images they wanted, and then this one and this one and this one. And a lot of the shows were TV westerns. A lot of them were shows that lasted only like a part of a season or 2 seasons. And I got one of those that lasted a part of a season, and this is The Man and the Challenge. There's a little bit of discoloration right there because I actually touched it. And this is a colorized photograph because you know back in 1959 things were mostly black and white. So almost all the images were in black and white. There were sports images, and this is basically the size of 2 Bowman baseball cards side by side. So very, very tiny here. I don't know anything about The Man and the Challenge, and I think there was one more promotional station identification type for this one here. The Man and the Challenge on NBC will return after these, words from our sponsors, and then they would show some sort of Marlboro ad or something like that, or Winston, or some sort of, I have no idea, toothpaste or whatever they wanted to show for that particular. If it was more of a kid-friendly show, they would show different things. Again, I don't know the whole lineup of commercials in '59, what they were doing there. And then this is the old NBC snake logo. That's what they called it. And this NBC snake logo was used for many years, and sometimes you will still see that to this day, different promotional type things. And again, this is a very, very tiny picture / photograph. I want to get more of them, but they have been relisted at some point for double of what I paid for this one, and they might go back to auction and I can go back and pick up 2 or 3 more. But I had some internet issues when I was trying to get 2 more of them to be used for promotion of show of, and then it says you would write down what that was back there, because some of these did not say exactly what they were on the front of them. They were, they would show Jonathan Winters, and it's like, well, that's great, it's Jonathan Winters. What was he in? What was he doing? Some of them said NBC, some of them have time slots there, some of them would say, Ethel or Esther Williams, or have like a picture of Doris Day, Bob Hope. A lot of them were like the Steve Allen Show, and very interesting there, interesting things there. I do have more of these different kinds of WKBS slides here, and I'll go back to that one there. And I also have some other slides, or promotional, or I would say station identification from Knoxville television station. I think when they say they were like $5 a piece, maybe $8 a piece, but they're very, very washed out images because the colors have changed. A lot of slides turn kind of a different hue, or a purple, pinks and purples, and so you have to take that in consideration when you're buying these sort of things, and take into consideration the cost. But there's a lot of things that are showing up on eBay right now that you will not be able to find, because it doesn't matter what I've typed in, station, television station, and if you typed in Brady Bunch, or if you type, basically you have to type in WKBS TV, and then for that week there might be nothing. And then 2 weeks later there could be 40 slides from that television station. And sometimes they're mixed in lots, and so you have to pay a lot of money for a lot for something like this. Why does anybody want this? It's television history, it's what people are showing on YouTube. So I could theoretically do this image or better image, throw some kind of like, sound noise behind it, kind of din of sound noise, and then do my own, whatever, and somebody might believe that to be from the 70s if I have used the right alterations for that. Now I'll show you one other thing here. I think it's the last thing I have here, and we'll be done within 10 minutes, 12 minutes or so. I don't know the significance of this picture, but it was, mixed in with somebody who sells a lot of pinup type photographs. And again, this was just kind of interesting because there's, some lady that probably worked for NBC in, next to a camera. It looks like she's never been near a camera before. It screams like maybe late 60s, early 70s. And as I say, the NBC snake logo. But see, these cameras could be much older. These cameras could be 10 years older than what the picture suggests here. There's no rhyme or reason for this picture. Maybe somebody was taking a studio tour. We have no idea. And then there's another camera back there. And they have tiny little screens here. The big camera and the tiny little screen right here, and they might have been able to slip a card in there and then, or in somewhere in here, and then show that on the screen, because anything was done analog, then they had to do it by hand and do things at a right time and hit certain cues. and sort of thing. And so you would get lots of dead space and mistakes, and sometimes you might even get backward slides. You didn't have that happen very often, but it was like, wait a minute, that's kind of weird. You know, things got chopped off or whatever, and sometimes, you know, the thing would be there, but they would say nothing, or there would be a voiceover for this one here. Again, and it was just promoting that, and I don't know where or why this was here, but it might have been during that show to promote that one, or this might have been saying that this is on at 11:30 tomorrow because there's some sort of football game that has pushed it to that particular time slot. Very, very fun thing. If I have any time and if I can find them, I'll try to do some scans of some other slides, but they're very, very hard to do. And then again, what I wanted to do is get more of these things, but I have to kind of get them all in particular order. And I don't remember if I showed these here, but I probably did. But you can see that the 8x10s are roots here. And again, I don't have the Joanne Woodward slide there to show you there. That was in one of the last videos there. And that slide was only $5 plus all of the promotional materials that came with that. And if I subdivided that, then theoretically I get closer to $50. And then I would be stuck with those items for my entire lifetime, because there's not one person that's looking for Joanne Woodward, not one person is looking for, you know, these particular media slides from that particular movie. But then once people, you know, get wind of it and noticing things like that, then it's like, oh man, where did you get that? That's really cool. I've never heard of this or never thought of that. And again, they're like tobacco cards. You know, they're ridiculously rare to find some of these items here. There's not necessarily a one of one in some cases. This is probably a one of one unless they had a duplicate of that one. And it's just fun to collect them. And there is no price guide for these things, because they could be $5 or they could be $50. There's some of these television station slides for a different television station. One of them I think is Star Trek, and the other one is Addams Family, and they have been up on eBay for over 10 years because $50 is way too much. It doesn't matter if you're one of the most popular shows on the planet. $50 is way too much. I understand maybe there's a best offer, but if somebody had been watching that slide for the last 5 years and they cut it down to $35, somebody would probably take that, and that would be in their wheelhouse. But because it's not leaving anytime soon, then there's no reason to go out and jump up and grab these things. But when you see like the little tiny pictures which I just showed you, and they're closer to $10, then there's like, I should probably get that. But again, everything being equal, that could have been put in a much smaller envelope and it would have been half the shipping. But $6.50 for shipping pretty much everything, and that's why I wanted to get 3 of them. I only got 2 of them, and I got myself hosed because I waited too long, and I could have put some bids in when my computer was working, not when it wasn't working. So again, that's all I have for this video. I spoke way too long. There's another slide here, promotional slide right here. Oh yeah, that's the Brady Bunch one. Just looked at the back of that there. But I have probably 40 of those now. It's shocking how these things kind of stack up on you over the years when you don't realize it. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll try to show some other pictures towards the end of the video, and thank you for watching.